My name is Chris. I'm 41 years old now, and this story begins the day my father passed away. We weren't a wealthy family, but my parents worked hard their entire lives. They owned a modest house, had some savings, and always told us that when the time came, everything would be split equally between me and my older brother, David. That promise kept me at peace. I loved my brother, I trusted him, and I believed my parents' word. But when the will was read, my world changed. David had somehow convinced my parents, in their later years, to leave almost everything to him. The house, the savings, even Dad's vintage car that he once promised would be mine. All I got was a small bank account with barely a few $1,000s. I sat there in the lawyer's office in shock, while David smirked like he'd just won. That night, my mom pulled me aside and whispered, "Your brother said he'd take care of you." He promised. But I knew what kind of man David was. And deep down, I knew I'd been cut out. For months, I was angry, bitter. I replayed every childhood memory, every time I had stood by David, every time I trusted him. And for what? But then something inside me shifted. I decided I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life feeling cheated. If David wanted everything from the past, fine. I would build my own future. So I started working harder than I ever had before. I picked up extra shifts at work. I took side jobs fixing computers, mowing lawns, anything that would bring in money. But I didn't just work. I learned. I studied real estate, investing in business. I spent sleepless nights reading, watching tutorials, teaching myself skills my brother never cared to learn. At first, it was slow. I bought one tiny property, fixed it up, and rented it out. Then another. Slowly, my bank account began to grow. Within 5 years, I had a small portfolio. Within 10, I was running a successful real estate company. And David? Well, the house he inherited, he lost it. He mismanaged the money, spent it on vacations, cars, and bad investments. Within a decade, he had nothing left. Meanwhile, I had built a fortune from scratch. I'll never forget the day he showed up at my office. He looked older, worn down, desperate. He said, "Chris, I need help. Things didn't work out the way I thought. Can you lend me some money?" I looked at him for a long time before answering. And finally I said, "David, when Dad died, you took everything. You left me with nothing, and I promised myself that day that I'd never beg you for anything. Now here you are, begging me." His face went pale. Did I help him? Yes, a little, because no matter what, he's still my brother. But the truth is, I didn't owe him anything. Today, I live in a beautiful home of my own. I travel, I support charities, and I've created a legacy my parents would be proud of. And every time I think back to that day in the lawyer's office, I realize something important. Sometimes losing everything is the best gift you can be given, because it forces you to build something greater than you ever imagined.